This episode is brought to you by Accenture. When your advertising operations fall out of sync, everything else follows. Spotify and Accenture are working together to reinvent the rhythm of ad sales, using automation, analytics, and smarter workflows to simplify campaign delivery and access better data across the business. The result? Less time spent on operations, more time connecting brands with the moments and fandoms that matter most. Learn more at accenture.com/Spotify.
When you need to build up your team to handle the growing chaos at work, use Indeed Sponsored Jobs. It gives your job post the boost it needs to be seen and helps reach people with the right skills, certifications, and more. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need a hiring hero? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs.
Welcome to Holocron History, Star Wars Canon versus Legend. Join us as we take a deep dive into the lore of the Star Wars universe.
Hello, and welcome to the Holocron Histories podcast, where we talk about Star Wars Canon versus Legend lore. I am one of your hosts, Austin, also known as Teacup.
And I'm your other host, Brandon, or also known as Ben of Temeria, take 2, as things are not working correctly with OBS, and it just disconnected on me right now, again, and reconnecting. It's something with OBS. It has nothing to do with my internet. I guarantee it's OBS. Oh, well,
It
whatever.
Probably is. Well, so...
Anyway, moving on. It's still recording. That's all that matters to me.
Yes, it is still recording. But we're here to talk about the one and only Darth Vitiate.
Yes.
Darth Valkorian. Darth Tenebrae. Darth Emperor.
Or also known as Darkness, as we found out in Latin.
Yes. Tenebrae is Latin for darkness. It actually has very big religious significance. So typically around if you're unfamiliar with Christian tradition, around Maundy Thursday, which is the Thursday before Easter, or Good Friday, which is the day that Jesus died, you have a Tenebrae service, which is a service of darkness, where you kind of lament and view how the world was cast into darkness when Jesus died.
Oh, interesting. All right. Haven't heard that before. That's cool.
Fun fact from your man with a master's degree in religious studies.
Woohoo! And with that, since we are in our SWTOR kick of things, we are starting off with his early life and reign. So the Tenebrae was a Sith pureblood born in 5113 BBY on Medadreus, a planet on the edge of the Sith worlds, the illegitimate son of Medreus, ruler Lord Dramath, and the poor farm woman. Tenebrae's eyes were said to be black as the void of space, and even as an infant, he showed no emotion, nor did he ever cry. Yeah, darkness for sure, because he's a demon child. That right there just shows demon.
Demon baby.
So animals avoided him. His voice seemed to carry power and weight beyond his years. Around the age of 6, Tenebrae began to manifest signs and strength of the force, which raised the suspicions of his farmer stepfather, as neither he or his wife were force sensitive. Tenebrae's stepfather confronted his wife in front of a 6-year-old Tenebrae, and he proceeded to attack her in anger after she admitted to having an affair with Lord Dramath. However, Tenebrae fed off the man's anger to fuel his strength in the dark side, and he used his newfound powers to telekinetically break the farmer's neck. Tenebrae then tortured his mother for months with the Force before killing her for betraying their family, and began to subjugate the other members of his village with his powers. Yeah. That's a lot for a 6-year-old.
Right, and this is common when you do villain origin stories among this of like,
Hmm.
oh, they were evil always versus like a villain origin story like Anakin, which is like, no, he was good and then he was corrupted.
Right.
No,
No,
he
Vitiate
was
was just a bad egg right out of the gate.
he was a bad motherfucker. Oh, sorry, I forgot that we're not supposed to say the F word.
We get one technically in PG-13 settings, so
Well, that's just a waste.
I know, right? So over the course of
What
the
a
next
waste.
4 years, Tenebrae's influence and reputation grew as he conquered neighboring villages and raised legions of followers. Some followed the child out of fear of his immense power, while others served him out of fanatical loyalty. Tenebrae massacred thousands during his rise of power and tortured people for days in public executions as he fed off their suffering. Lord Dramath heard of rumors of his son's activities, but because they occurred on the remote northern continent, and also due to the fact that he had forgotten about his affair with Tenebrae's mother, the Sith Lord believed that the events were no concern to him. When Tenebrae was around the age of 10, Dramath decided to investigate the rumors of the boy's activities and determine whether he should be killed or become one of his servants. However, the Sith Lord underestimated his son's abilities. After revealing his true parentage, Tenebrae stripped Dramath of his power in the Force and drove the man insane before killing him. Holy crap. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just gets worse. Tenebrae then embarked on a campaign to conquer the rest of Mandraeus, while his other half-brother, Dramath II, fled the planet to hide from his half-brother on Raked. And it took the child 3 years to subjugate the world, and any of the Lord Dramath's subordinates, Sith Lords, who attempted to seize the throne fell quickly before Tenebrae's power. God. All right. And then after his conquest of Madreus was complete in 5100 BBY, Tenebrae traveled to the Sith Empire's throne world of Ziost and came before Marka Ragnos, the Dark Lord of the Sith, and the ruler of the Sith Council. Acknowledging the 13-year-old's power, Ragnos granted Tenebrae the right to rule Madreus as his own and elevated him to the rank of Sith Lord, bestowing the title of Lord Vitiate upon him. So this is where he got his second name. So returning to Madreus, which was renamed Nathemia, Nathemia, Nathema. Nathema.
Yeah.
Vitiate proceeded to build a palace upon the site of the childhood home that he ruled the planet for 100 years, spending much of the time studying the secrets of the dark side. Early in his reign, many young Sith flocked to Vitiate and he taught his new followers to restrain their emotions, to draw on their inner anger in order to increase their power. When Ragnos' death in 5000 BBY prompted the struggle to determine who would succeed him, Vitiate chose not to involve himself in the world in which the battle between the competing Sith Lords, Naga Sado and Ludo Kresh. Vitiate also refrained from participating in the crusade upon which the victorious Sado embarked against the Galactic Republic, instead of watching from Nathema as the Sith Empire battled the Republic and the Jedi Protectors in the Great Hyperspace War. Vitiate had never participated in any battles or conquests during his reign, and he had a reputation of being a reclusive scholar. However, when the Empire met its ultimate defeat in a battle above the holy tomb world of Korriban, Vitiate put his plans to seize power into action. Yeah. This is where things get really interesting. Broadcasting speeches across the Empire in 4999 BBY, describing how the Jedi Order would destroy the Empire and massacre its people once they discover the rest of the Sith. Vitiate stoked the Empire's fears and carefully drove the people into a panic, a sensation that only increased when the Republic invaded the Empire and destroyed any Sith sacred sites and artifacts it could find on the orders of Supreme Chancellor Plumunto. Assuming the leadership role, Vitiate called all remaining Sith Lords to Anathema in order to aid him performing a ritual, promising them that would unleash the full power of the dark side beyond anything they could imagine. At the same time, Vitiate's historians and scientists searched the location of Dromund Kaas, one of the Empire's original colonies. Yeah, this is things get really bad. If you don't know the story of how Vitiate became powerful, here you go. Just before the Sith Lords arrived, the researchers finally theorized a new hyperspace route that led back to Dromund Kaas, but also prevented the Jedi from following. 3 days after the lead researcher presented the team's findings, Vitiate announced the commencement of his ritual, but when the 8,000 Sith who answered Vitiate's call arrived at his palace, he dominated their minds and bound their wills to his, forcing the Sith to participate in the ritual. The ritual took 10 days to perform, with the entire planet frozen in the grip of the dark side sorcery, and upon its completion, all life on the surface of Anathema was annihilated, save for Vitiate. The man absorbed the life force of the entire world, stripping the force from the very fabric of reality on Anathema and gaining both unimaginable power and immortality as a result. At the same moment, the man shed his identity as Vitiate and became simply the Emperor, of a figure of immense power and wisdom in the eyes of his fellow Sith.
He's scary. He is just like... I remember, so my first introduction to this character was the Revan novel.
Okay.
And I just remember, because you learn about his story in that book, and I remember thinking like, oh, he's kind of like Darth Nihilus written all over again, which if you don't know from the second KOTOR game, Darth Nihilus absorbs planets and feeds on them and does all of that. And then, and I'm sure we'll talk about that, the destruction of his home world. And when you go to the home world, it is terrifying. This man is like, when I think of like a dark side entity, when I think of something that is truly terrifying in the dark side of the Force, I think of two things. I think of Abeloth from the Fate of the Jedi series, and I think of Vitiate.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah. Yeah, they are both. Abeloth is utterly terrifying, especially if you find like the concept and depiction of her in imagery. She's just terrifying. And yeah, but Vitiate and her, are the embodiment of evil, of dark side. Like, everybody thought, oh, Nihilus is so like super strong and evil and powerful. He can like drain the life force of people around him, blah blah blah. It's like, okay. And then SWTOR comes out and it's like, oh hey, you know Nihilus? Oh yeah, we had a character well before his time that devoured planets. Not just people. Planets. And yeah, it is utterly terrifying, especially if you read the Revan novel. Like, both Scourge and the Jedi Exile go to Anathema and step foot on there. They almost like passed out because how there is no connection to the Force whatsoever on that planet. At all. So, yeah, it's bad.
Yeah, it is.
And terrifying. But with that being said, I think it's a good time to take a quick mid-break.
All right, welcome.
When it's time to scale your business, it's time for Shopify. Get everything you need to grow the way you want. Like, all the way. Stack more sales with the best converting checkout on the planet. Track your cha-chings from every channel, right in one spot. and turn real-time reporting into big-time opportunities. Take your business to a whole new level. Switch to Shopify. Start your free trial today.
What's that, bud? The Lincoln Summer Sales event is on now with exclusive offers? Oh, so you want to feel the wind pouring through the available open panoramic vista roof on a road trip? And spend the afternoon beachside hanging out on the back of the spacious Lincoln Splitgate? Okay, I'll schedule a Lincoln test drive today, right before your vet appointment. Visit your local Lincoln retailer or learn more at Lincoln.com.
Hello, welcome to the middle of the show where we take, if anyone is watching live and you saw that, I record my other two shows not live. And so we add all of our mid-break sounds
In post.
In post.
Yeah.
And so I don't have to wait, but I always forget on this show that I have to wait through the mid-break sounds.
Yeah. It's okay. It happens.
Yes. But anyway, so welcome to the middle of the show where we take time to thank our patrons. And thank you to all of our patrons. Our patron chat is coming up next week. So if you want to sign up and get up on that, you can sign up at our $20 tier and come and hang out with us on the show as we talk about patrons. I assume that we might be talking about Outlaws because
Ooh, because
if
it's
you have
the week
early
of Outlaws. Oh crap! It
if-
comes out the day of the show.
Yeah, if you have early access, it comes out that day. Maybe we'll see what our patrons decide and want to talk
we'll
about.
see. Dojo, let us know. I know you're in chat. Let us know. I have a feeling it's Outlaws
Also,
as well. Oh, he's not buying it.
It was
that's
also
fair.
announced. Okay, so I will talk about this for a little bit. I watched some videos of people who went to early access play. That Ubisoft Massive Entertainment, whatever they're called, I forget.
Yeah, it's Massive Entertainment, which is they're the division. They're the developers who made the Division 1 and 2 within Ubisoft.
Yeah, and they made the Frontiers of Pandora.
Oh, they did?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that one. I knew they did Division. I didn't know they did
Pandora. What is it? The Avatar game.
Pandora.
So you have I watched a couple of videos of people talking about it because I wanted to see because the stuff they have been showing online has not been great in my opinion. But a lot of these people who went and played it, they said that at least from a gameplay standpoint and the graphics are not that bad and performance has been stable, at least in what they were given. Now, Granted, that wasn't a final product that they were given. And so
correct.
Who knows what's going to happen? I will say that a lot of these creators that I watched and I followed talked about how when they went and did early access for Jedi Survivor, there were performance issues even in early access. And so, but they didn't have them this time. So that's a little promising. Most of the creators I follow, and the ones I follow are pretty even tier, are going to just give honest opinions, but say this is what I like, this is what I dislike. I don't really follow a lot of the people who are super anti-Disney or the people who are super pro-Disney. I'm looking mainly at people in the middle. And most of them are giving them 7, 8 out of 10.
Okay.
So I don't know. It's making me rethink my stance.
That's fair. Yeah. I mean, I got, obviously, I buy most of my games. If it's something, a fandom I'm part of, I always get at least the gold edition. With Ubisoft stuff, it depends. Assassin's Creed, I always buy the collectors because I collect the statues. That's mainly what I get the collectors for.
Right.
Star Wars stuff, I will always do the gold or the one up, whichever goes with the season pass or whatnot.
Which reminds me, so I did find out that if you do subscribe to Ubisoft Plus Premium or whatever, you will be able to play the Ultimate Edition of Outlaws on the 27th.
Oh, nice. That's good to know.
So that being said,
Because that's what,
if
$15.99 a month or something like that?
$17.99,
Okay.
if you wanted to save a little money and were a little cautious, but you were like on the fence, kind of like I am, of I want to play
Subscribe to
this
that
game, but
for a
I
month. Play it.
subscribe to
See
that
if
for
you
a
like
month,
it. If you're not,
and then
okay,
cancel.
whatever. Yeah.
You can cancel it, and then you're only out $18 as opposed to $100.
Right. Right. That's smart. I mean, that's what I do a lot of times, depending if like what is like. I didn't. I just found this out the other day with one of my guests come to my store. GameFly still exists, which I had no idea that
Mm-hmm.
GameFly is still around, and they use GameFly still to this day. And I was like, that's amazing. I didn't know they, still existed and whatnot. But yeah, I've been hearing pretty good, decent things about Outlaws. The main thing I've been hearing is cause obviously no one knows how interesting the story is going to be because it's very early stuff that they allowed people to play.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a lot. That's honestly, I think the majority of what I've seen as concern wise is how interesting is the story.
Right. And I think from the gameplay that I've watched with people, it looks like a mix between Red Dead Redemption and Jedi Survivor. Like
Yeah.
the home planet almost looks like a reskin of Kobo, which is kind of like both
Right.
all right, but is a plus and minus for me because it's like, okay, like this looks like it's gonna be like this, and I enjoyed this game, but also like this seems lazy from LucasArts. You just feels like you're reusing assets.
Yeah, I mean, they did show off one of the most recent trailers. They showed off 4 planets that you get to go to visit.
Mm-hmm.
And the last one's being Tatooine, which we all knew was going to happen. The first 3 they showed off in the game are completely new planets, like in the Star Wars galaxy, which is really cool.
Right.
One of them is like an ice kind of barren planet, but has settlements. So similar to Hoth, but like actual living conditions, which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
And you can change.
I
I can't remember the character's name that you play as, but you get to change out her outfits, which is kind of cool, depending on the weather and environment.
Right. I am a little skeptical because I'm always disappointed, especially by Jedi Survivor, of like, okay, we go to 4 planets.
Right.
And really, it's like 3 in Jedi Survivor. You go to Jeddah and 2. Jedi and Kobo are really where your main story missions happen. And then some like one-offs, like Coruscant and everything like that. And so I'm just hoping that it's a little more expansive. And I mean, that's one of the things about that you kind of have to like love and hate about Ubisoft is they make these massive games, but then they fill them with nothing sometimes. But
unless it's Assassin's Creed, that's the only.
okay, collectibles do not count as something.
Whoa! What Assassin's Creed game has nothing in it?
Did you play Valhalla?
Yeah. Oh, that's fair. There's a lot of open land. Okay, that's fair on that one.
Yeah, that's my thing about
There's
like
still a lot
they've
to
played
do.
a lot, and like Far Cry is like that. Lots of
Yeah.
open, spacious land. And you know what? I've been playing this certain open world game that can also feel this way. I have been playing that game for almost 15 years. Skyrim, also a problem.
Fair. All right, I give you that. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah. So with that, back to our mid break. Outlaws is coming out. I know Ben's gonna get it at least.
Yep.
Whether or not I get it or not, we'll see. But maybe I might be one of those doing that. Subscribe to Ubisoft Plus. Ubisoft Plus is a pretty beneficial thing. Like all of Far Cry's, all of Assassin's Creed, For Honor, all of that is on Ubisoft Plus. My hesitation is that I already own all of the Assassin's Creed games.
Ditto.
Right. So that is my only hesitation. Plus, I don't really want to subscribe to the service to the company who said you need to get used to not owning your games.
That's also fair. And that's why I always buy physical.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, another great way to support us if you can on Patreon is to leave us ratings and reviews and comments on Spotify. If you leave us 5 stars and some kind words, we will read it out on a future episode of the show. Ben, do we have something to read today?
We do. We have a few, actually. We have a comment on our episode 97 of Beskar. Zach says that Chimere is Star Wars Snape because he was the potions guy. Remember, before he was revealed as the Sith, he gave May a potion. Other than that, he's really not like Snape in any other aspect, except he's kind of creepy. That's
okay.
fair.
I
mean, that's fair. That answered the whole Snape question for us when Zach said he's like Snape, and I was like, I do a Harry Potter podcast, and I was like, how is he like Snape? He's nothing like Snape. But okay, all right, that's fair. And then on our last episode for SWTOR, Zach again says, yes, SWTOR, I requested this one. Yes, you did. And we did it. And I'm happy you liked it. And then Vinny also comments saying, where can you get the Old Republic MMO? So there's two places where you can get the MMO. You can go through Steam. The MMO is through Steam, or you can download it from the Star Wars Old Republic website as itself, because they have their own client and then they have the Steam client. Honestly, it's a lot easier just to go through Steam. If you haven't played it before, I would just recommend going through Steam. It's much easier than going through their own client, in my opinion. Plus, if you already have a Steam account, why wouldn't you just get on Steam? But yeah, that's
right.
That's and we have.
I will say this: Steam version will also save you time because Steam will update the game for you. Whether as you go through their client, you have to run their updater every time you open the game, and
that takes way too much.
No, I mean there are some times when they do big patches, you still have to open the game and run their updater. But like
that's true
for a lot of the little content things. It's a good way.
That's a good point. So, but yeah, that's what we have on comments and for that stuff.
All right. And then last but not least, come hang out with us on Discord if you want to talk about maybe you're super excited for Star Wars Outlaws, and we'd love to hear why you're super excited and if you're really looking forward to the game. I, for one, will also say that a Bounty Hunter criminal game has been on the short list of Star Wars games for a long time for a lot of people.
Yeah.
I just wish they would have let Rockstar make it instead.
Do literally a Mando game with Red Dead. That's all we need.
Exactly.
That's all we need.
But come and share those things on Discord. Come hang out with us on Discord. The Cubs Podcasting More Discord. Ben and Tamaria. Ben and Friends Podcasting Discord. That is the Discord. You can hang out with us on the Robots Radio Discord. I will say that Ben and I are more active on our respective Discords than we are on the Robots Radio Discord. We do still check it, but if you want to get in contact with us faster, join one of our Discords.
Yeah, because we're both more active in the Cups podcast and more in my own Discord. It's like the Robots Radio was there for us to get started, and we're still there, obviously, because we're on the Robots Radio Network. But, with our shows growing in popularity and with all the people going in, it was just easier for us to make our own Discords.
Mm-hmm.
So, but Tom is still great. So, but yeah, cool. I think it's a good time to get back into more Vitiate.
Yeah, let's do it.
Experience a membership that backs what you're building with American Express Business Platinum. Get 2 times membership rewards points per dollar on eligible purchases in key business categories, as well as on each eligible purchase of $5,000 or more. on up to $2 million in eligible purchases per calendar year. American Express Business Platinum. There's nothing like it. Terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-platinum.
If you're a QuickBooks customer looking to grow without the growing pains, you need the Intuit ERP, the AI native ERP that upgrades right from QuickBooks. Learn more at intuit.com/ERP.
All right, we're back. And now, getting back into more of his history and him making a hidden empire. So, blaming the destruction of the anathema on the Jedi, the self-declared emperor drove the people of the empire further into panic while simultaneously offering them hope. Traveling to Korriban, he promised to lead the people to salvation and safely from the Jedi, as he soon led a great exodus from the Sith worlds into the unknown regions of the galaxy. Despite knowing the location of Dromund Kaas, the Emperor led his people in a series of blind hyperspace jumps, causing the exodus to last for 20 years, while the Sith people became more and more dependent on his guidance. I thought, so you think Sidious, Palpatine, had like long-term planning? Ho, Vitiate takes it by the cake.
This guy wrote the book that Sidious read when he was developing his.
Oh God, pretty much. So finally, in 4980 BBY, a scout vessel under the orders of the Emperor located Dromund Kaas. When the vessel returned to the Sith fleet, the Emperor led his people to the long-lost world, and upon reaching the surface, he addressed the Sith. Amidst the wild jungles of Dromund Kaas, he declared a new empire that would rise from ashes of the old, and offer to both the Sith people and their non-Sith servants the chance to build an orderly and powerful society, an empire that would one day return and gain their revenge on the Republic. The people who had come to see the Emperor as a kind of god fervently agreed and set to work building their new empire. At first, the Emperor appeared in public often and dictated much of the Empire's policies and actions, but over time he appeared less and less. Not long after arriving on Dromund Kaas, he created the Dark Council, a group of 12 Sith Lords that served as the primary ruling body of the Empire, and the Council soon took over much of day-to-day running the Empire. The Emperor retreated into seclusion in the newly constructed Imperial Citadel, situated in the heart of Kaas City. And then one of his first actions was to select 12 Force-sensitive pureblood Sith to become his hand, 12 servants who shared their master's longevity in exchange to allowing him to draw on their strength in order to sustain his powers. The hand's leader, Servant 1, was the first to be bound to the Emperor, while these constant companions, Servant 2, gained prolific powers through a close connection to the Emperor's mind. At the expense of his own sanity, the shadowy organization was known only to a few members of the Dark Councils throughout the centuries, as they operated from obscurely to fulfill their master's will. Yeah. He goes all out into doing this stuff. It's pretty intense, especially on how he just straight up uses people for his own gain without any, cause for anything.
Right. And that really gets come to Palpatine has his own Emperor's hands. Right. There's a lot of that when they made SWTOR, they were kind of setting up Vitiate as a precursor to Palpatine, and this person really set the ground of and wrote the playbook that Palpatine's gonna emulate later.
Right. Yeah. So the Emperor spent the time studying even further into the mysteries of the Force, unlocking powerful secrets of the dark side. In the early years after the arrival on Dromund Kaas, the Emperor ordered the expansion of the edifice known as the Dark Temple on the outskirts of Kaas City, an ancient structure that contained the tombs of hyperspace war Sith Lords such as Elias Calig. The temple was originally intended as a burial place for the emperor's enemies, but the emperor performed the powerful dark side rituals to seal the knowledge and life essences of his enemies in the structure's depth, and it transformed the era into a nexus of dark force energy. Yeah. These rituals soon also affected Dromacos's atmosphere, causing the skies to be filled with perpetual rainstorms and lightning. One of the Sith spawn created during the rituals escaped deep underground, becoming known as Akur, the Ghost of Darkness. The Emperor also maintains chambers within the Sith Sanctum, the headquarters of the Sith Order, and the Imperial Citadel. Through only the Dark Council and the Emperor's personal guards were allowed into the lower levels of the Sanctum. The Imperial Guard, as those elite warriors who served the Emperor were called, were a group of non-force sensitives who served the Emperor with fanatic loyalty and unmatched combat prowess. Trained in academics on dark side worlds, each member of the Guard was brought before the Emperor and bound to his will, making their loyalty absolute. Moreover, the Guard answered only to the Emperor. The Dark Council had no control over the group's activities, despite the Guard's roles as protectors of the Sith Sanctum. Once the Empire reclaimed the Sith Academy on Korriban over 1,000 years later, the Guard also took the role of guardian for the Academy. Sometime during his reign, the Emperor also ordered the construction of the personal hyperspace station in orbit of Dromacos, which used as a temple fortress for meditation and experimenting with the dark side. And yeah, like, the Empire reclaimed the Sith Academy of Korriban, because if you play KOTOR 1 and 2... specifically KOTOR 1, you go to the Sith Academy to get part of the Starforge, and then you go back to Korriban in 2, and it's completely in ruins.
Exactly.
So, a lot of things happen, so they did reclaim it. So around 4606 BBY, a Sith named Keleth Ur began to preach Jedi sentiments of the peace and serenity while also utilizing the dark side, but the Emperor killed the heretic and sealed his spirit in the Dark Temple, a fate that befell many of the Emperor's enemies. Another Sith Lord, Vodal Crush, attempted to challenge the Emperor's rule less than 4 centuries after the Great Hyperspace War, breeding a race of slaves to serve as an army on the planet of Athos. However, Crush's plans never advanced beyond Athos, and when the Mad Sith died, the Emperor declared Athos forbidden. Several centuries into the Emperor's reign, a Dark Counselor named Darth Locus summoned her fellow council members to a secret meeting in the midst of a violent storm. Yeah. So, with an army of loyal Sith outside in the meeting, ready to kill the Dark Counselor who refused, Locus described a plot to overthrow the Emperor and led the Empire into war against the Republic once more, a plot that all 11 counselors agreed to join. However, the Emperor learned the Council's conspiracy and allowed their plans to unfold, but when the 12 ascended the steps of the Citadel to confront him, the Emperor delivered his punishment. Locus' 11 co-conspirators died in a flash of light on the Citadel steps, and the Locust disappeared forever into the bowels of the structure as the Emperor tortured and then finally killed her. Yeah, he doesn't play around. Like, at all.
No.
And he knows all, so I
not.
wouldn't even try to do anything against him, honestly.
No.
So, during the Emperor's reign, 6 Sith Lords, Raptus, Besta, Brontes, Caliphaeus, Slyrak, and Trians meditated together to develop a powerful variation of battle meditation that allowed them to induce fear into their enemies. When Bestia approached the Emperor to share their insights, he conferred the title of Dreadmaster upon her and the others for their ability, and they went to serve the Emperor for centuries as prophets, advisors, and generals. Which you do encounter them in the in SWTOR on I can't remember which planet. It's one of the planet stories that you encounter them. Specific, like, depending on which side you're on, you have different versions of the story.
Right.
So another one of the Emperor's experiments in the Dark Temple led to the creation of the Ravager, a device that consumed the victim's mind and forced them to reveal their greatest secrets as they died. Not even members of the Dark Council could withstand the Ravager, but the Emperor eventually locked it away in the Dark Temple, with the other experiments both failed and successful. The Dark Temple itself was sealed after a few centuries and remained so for most of the Emperor's reign. Yet, when Koth City's power grid was expanded into the tunnels beneath the temple, devices such as the Ravager that were stored in the temple had the unintentional effect of driving thousands of slaves mad. Oh, and Dojo, it said it's Belsavis is the planet you go to for that specific story.
Oh,
Thank you.
right.
I knew it started with a B, I just couldn't remember which one. And then at the founding of the empire, the emperor had promised to return and destroy the republic, but over time that goal grew less important to the people of the empire. However, the emperor still planned to invade, but for reasons beyond revenge. In his studies, he discovered a way to magnify the ritual he had performed in the Thema so he could affect the entire galaxy, and he intended to use the War of the Republic as a way to fuel that ritual. Around 4043 BBY, the Dark Counselors Darth Kalar and Darth Vishtun fought a vicious Kagrath, a Sith ritual duel that tore apart the Imperial Citadel. When the dust settled, the two were still standing, but the other 10 members of the council combined their powers to obliterate the two. The Emperor surprised the Dark Council by emerging from his seclusion and contributed to the designs of the new citadel, charging the Sith Lord Darth Nostrum with completing the building exactly as the plans specified. After the citadel's completion, the Emperor locked Nostrum in the depths of the citadel to test the structure's labyrinthine defenses, and was gratified when the Sith Lord perished, unable to find an exit. Gosh, he's just like, here, do this for me. Oh, by the way, you're gonna die.
Mm-hmm.
A few decades later, several members of the Dark Council discovered Nathema and learned what the Emperor was truly planning. These Dark Counselors, among with Darth Nyrus and Darth Zedric, began a conspiracy to unseat the Emperor to save their empire and the galaxy from annihilation. Not long afterward, around 3978 BBY, the Emperor sent a Sith pureblood emissary to Mandalore the Ultimate, the leader of the Mandalorian culture of warriors. An emissary explained to Mandalore that his master had driven a Sith Lord named Dramath II into exile and convinced the warrior to help him search for Dramath's tomb on the snowy world of Rekred. Breaking into Dramath's crypt and recovering the Sith remains of his master, the Sith also told Mandalore of a vision that the Emperor had received one of the Mandalorians, crushing the Republic in a glorious victory. However, the Emperor's emissary was also manipulating Mandalore with the power of the dark side, binding the warrior and convincing him to launch a war against the Republic in order to test his strength. And if this doesn't sound familiar, it will, because that conflict, which would later become known as the Mandalorian Wars, began 2 years later and raged in a total of 16 years. The Mandalorians initially had the upper hand until a young Jedi Knight known as Revan took command of the Republic military with his friend and unofficial apprentice Malak in 3962 BBY. Under Revan's leadership, the Republic gained more and more ground until they finally forced a confrontation at the Battle of Malachor V in 3960 BBY. Revan challenged Mandalore the Ultimate to a single combat and won, striking down the warrior just as the Jedi's Lieutenant Mitra Strulik activated the super weapon known as the Mass Shadow Generator, which Mitra is the character known as the Jedi Exile, for anybody who doesn't know. As Mandalore lay dying, the Emperor's spell had finally broken, and the fallen warrior told the victorious opponent to how he had been manipulated. Revan had already encountered Sith ruins on Korriban and Malachor V before the battle, and unwillingly drew the Emperor's attention in the process. The Emperor reached out to Revan and Malak, subtly manipulated them, and the Emperor watched the pair retrace Mandalore's steps to Relic and discover the existence of his empire. Examining the Datacron belonging to the Emperor's half-brother within Drymouth's tomb, Revan and Malak discovered the location of Nathema and traveled to the barren world, where they learned the location of Drum and Koss and witnessed the Emperor's power. Leaving the Republic fleet that they brought with them, the pair traveled to Drum and Koss in secret to spend months infiltrating the Imperial capital to aid one of the Imperial guards, but they did not suspect that each member of the guard was bound to the Emperor's will and would betray their master, or never betray their master. When Revan and Malak finally infiltrated the Emperor's throne room in an attempt to kill him, the Sith dominated their minds, just as he'd done so many years ago to the Sith Lords on Nathema. Breaking their wills, the Emperor forcibly converted the pair to the dark side and declared them Darth Revan and his apprentice Darth Malak. After prying information about the Republic from their minds, the Emperor sent the new disciples to recover the Starforge, a space station of unimaginable power constructed by the ancient Rakata, to use a new war against the Republic. Publicly, the Emperor informed his people that the pair of assassins had attempted to kill him, but they had been executed as a result. However, the newly converted Sith were stronger than expected, and they broke free of the Emperor's conditioning. Revan decided to declare his own Sith Empire, determined to conquer the Republic and unite it against the Emperor, and proceeded to battle the Republic in what became called as the Jedi Civil War, which is the events of KOTOR 1, or right before KOTOR 1. So, yeah, it's all because of Vitiate. That's how we have Darth Revan and Malak.
Yes.
It's all because of him. If it wasn't for him, they probably, I don't know, they were starting, the Revan was already starting to go down the dark side, but Vitiate just made it more permanent, like a forcible turn rather than a slow turn. So,
right.
Yeah. Anyway, that's what I got for this week for part 1, because this is definitely a part 2 episode, because there's a lot on Vitiate. And I will let everybody know, we are not diving into his stuff with the tours, like time that you spend with him as a character, because it's better just to have you experience that yourself. So,
is he are both Jedi storylines dealing with Vitiate?
yes. Well, no. So the Jedi Knight storyline, you specifically go at, like, you try to take down the Emperor. That's like your main goal in Act 2 and 3. The Jedi Counselor, you don't really deal with the Emperor, like, at all, until you get to the expansions. The Jedi Knight is the only one that has a direct connection from their base game story to Valkorion himself.
I see.
All the other characters, you dive into him when you get to, like, Knights of the Eternal Throne.
I see. Okay, I was just curious. So really, his story involvement in SWTOR outside of the expansions is only in the Jedi Knight storyline.
Yeah, you'll get references here and there, but yeah, it's mainly the Jedi Knight.
All right. Well, thanks for bringing all of this. I'm excited for part 2 in 2 weeks, because next week is patron chat.
Exactly.
And thanks for bringing all of this, and thank you all for listening to Holocron Histories podcast.
And may the Force be with you. Thank you for listening to Holocron Histories, Star Wars Canon versus Legends. You can find us on the Robots Radio Discord at robotsradio.net, the Ben and Friends Podcasting Discord, and even at the Cups Podcast and More Discord. You can find us on Twitter at SWHoloHistories, and even email us at holocronhistories@gmail.com.
In Michigan, you can feel the energy everywhere in the fresh breeze of a riverfront stroll or nightlife that hums with electricity. Let it bring you together in pure Michigan. Find your season at michigan.org.